Well, hello again, and this is Captain Clumsy, but a most different type of vlog, completely spontaneous, extemporised, and completely off the cuff vlog, and it was stimulated by the earlier post today of TAYM, the all-year motorcyclist, regarding the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride and the things that it raises money for, being prostate cancer research and supporting mental health, and I think in particular men's mental health, because men are far more likely to end up killing themselves than women are, although women suffer more with depression. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm professionally a mental health nurse of many years standing now, and so I'm kind of used to dealing with it from a professional perspective, of helping people who are suicidal, helping them to reduce their problems with mood, getting them treatment, and hopefully then they can go back to living a perfectly normal life with no risk of suicide. And I've been doing that for many years now. I wasn't therefore terribly well prepared when I started to develop some mental health problems of my own, which I think will beget in a number of ways. Bereavement issues, my father passed away, a stroke in 2019, and some family problems which also feel like bereavements. So these are all trauma episodes. And then about a year ago I started having more health problems, long periods off work, reduced capacity to do things, tiredness, bowel problems, still not entirely resolved, and I think that led to a further exacerbation of those mental health problems. But taking it back to last year, I got to the point where on a holiday I was very seriously considering throwing myself off a cliff. Yeah, that's right, I was. Now, in the end, I managed to talk myself out of it, think of ways of coping better, but it was still an episode that was dark for me, and also came with some other dark things which I can't go into. But yes, even those who are professionals and should know better can suffer with their mental health. Now, I've done some things since to try and mitigate against it, but more recently I had another episode where I started having those thoughts, and what helped in those situations, excuse me, I'm going to have to put my visor up, I think. Oh no, just about all right. Was just organising some options for help, even things like calling a helpline, apps on your phone, websites, and I'll put a link up to a website which I believe can be very helpful for people, particularly men who may not talk very much about their mental health, to do some self-help things. So having the knowledge that you can do things to help yourself is sometimes enough in itself. So trying to become a little bit more self-aware, a bit more organised, and if you can, and I know it's not always easy, talk to people either that you love, or if not somebody that you love, somebody who's distant enough, like the Samaritans, like for men, Calm. I'll put up a link to all these things if I can help distance yourself from that problem that's causing you to feel there might be no way out. And usually there is. It's not always easy. If it was easy, I'm sure you'd have tried it. So yes, talking to people, using the NHS 111 are all great things to do. So doing something and taking it step by step. Now, I'm not going to do a detailed mood management plan for everybody here, we're all different, but seriously, if you're in that, getting towards that abyss that can sometimes open up, and sometimes also you're not aware of it, you can be pottering along thinking, well, I'm fine, but in actual fact you're not fine, and it's acknowledging when you're not fine, and then you can do something about it. So yes, mood is a big thing, but hopefully I'm on the mend now. My mood was almost buoyant today, so that's a good sign. I think my health is improved slightly. That's another good sign. And perhaps managing my relationships slightly better. Not perfectly, but slightly better. And that's also a good sign. So we're just going to potter along here. There's no specific agenda for where we're going. So talking to people, using self-help tools, accessing support through websites, through groups. There's bound to be one in your area. And if you need to access the good old NHS, they're there. And nobody's going to take anybody away and put them in an ambulance if they confess to feeling suicidal, unless they're actually on the point of doing it. And even then, you'll get looked after and be treated well. You're not going to be incarcerated indefinitely. Okay. So yes, many things can be done to remove the risk of, or reduce the risk of suicide, which is high enough, particularly for men of certain age groups, in particular I think those 25 to 45 and those aged over 75, women too of course, but also you may be surprised what you have in common when you talk to other people. And I talked to two old friends, one a chap who you might think is the blukiest bloke on earth, you know, likes his sport, likes his beer, likes the ladies. But when I talked to him, he had similar thoughts, throwing himself in a lake. And I talked to another friend who you would think would be one of the calmest people around and centred, and but she'd been dealing with some difficulties with her health too, and you know, I think that was some flying insects there. About her issues. Now I'm not going to talk too much for a while. If this camera cuts out unexpectedly, which it has been doing recently, and I don't get the vlog finished, what I'm going to do is I'm going to straighten it up first. Whoop. Tractor alert. Oh, and mad van driver alert too. Yeah, it's a peril of Cornish roads for you, so I shouldn't be talking too much on this narrow back road. Just so I take it, I've been down here before. So yes, you may have more in common with your friends than you thought, and there may be other things you can do to rectify the problem, but don't let anybody tell you to pull your socks up or anything like that. That's crap. Yeah, so that's one thing. Suicide, mental health risks. Now, do I go left here or right? I haven't got a bloody queue. I think I'm going to go straight on. Lanes Cot, wherever that is. That's a good thing about Cornwall, you can explore the back routes indefinitely. Beautiful view over there, sea in the background, open countryside, and actually accessing the open countryside, things like forest bathing, that's another thing that you can do. So walking, spending time in nature, you know, those all help to recenter. So those are practical, simple things. And do a a plan, which could be very simple. One thing at a time, achieve that, go on to the next thing. You know, it's not rocket science. Thank you, madam, for controlling your dog. Yeah, so that's point number one. Mental health, something that I think is more under pressure these days than ever before. You know, hopefully some of the stigma around it is starting to evaporate a touch, although to be honest, there is still stigma. Oh, where's this go? Still no idea where I am. Jolly good. And yes, so keep talking if you can. If not, access help online or via remote sites like Samaritans. Right, so prostate cancer is another subject, you know, which TAYM brought up in his eloquent vlog about these things. So I just want to put my support behind those two subjects. Prostate cancer being something my father had. My uncle died of it. I myself have got an enlarged prostate, so I'm obviously at risk. So the thing to do there is to get yourself tested. If you're a man and you're over 50, I think you're entitled to a free test. But if not, there are various mobile travelling options where you can they visit like a rugby club or somewhere. You pay a modest fee, I think it's 15 quid or something. You can get tested there, and then they'll send the results to your GP. That will relieve them of the task of doing all the testing, and then you can either get the green light, or if not, you can get treatment. Now, probably this also applies if you've got a history of prostate cancer in the family, as I have. So monitor yourself. You know, are you having blood in your wee? You know, are you having difficulty going? God, where am I now? It's a bit of a sketchy junction at the very best of times. Right, no talking from me until I can get myself sorted out. I think I'm going to have to go down, simply because that adverse camera looked a bit hairy-o. So, back on the return leg, I think we are now. And, yeah, so check yourself. Contact NHS 111 if you're not sure. You know, be moderate in your web browsing, because that can contain misleading or information that directs you to sites which may not be helpful. And, you know, it's a very treatable cancer. It's something that is often said people die with, but people do die of it too. And of course, if you end up in bad health as a result, I think we've got a train, so I'll be able to talk more whilst waiting for that. Lovely. Well, this man's got his engine on. I think I might go to the front. IST and MG. Oh, train's arrived. So yes, we're about finished on the subject of prostate cancer and mental health needs. You know, it's if you need help, you need help. If you can, ask for it. But it's also, I think, might apply if you know somebody changed their habits, they're not as sociable as they were, avoiding people, and maybe even doing on things like giving away possessions, or, you know, then maybe it could be them. It could be somebody you know you never suspected. So yeah, ask them, or even mention it to somebody else, but share the problem, and it's definitely hard. Okay, so that's the last postscript on this particular vlog. We're still recording, thank goodness for that. Oh, some more bikers out. Stop for a rest. And yeah, so finally I have been Captain Clumsy. You hopefully have been watching and listening to this vlog. If you or anybody else you know, Minis Riviera Run. Oh, so that must have been going on this weekend. Right, so if you or anybody else you know has been subject to any of these problems, physical or mental, try and do something about it if you can. Alright, so I've been Captain Clumsy once again. You have hopefully been watching. Bye for now, see you in the next one, which will probably be back to the usual rubbish.